Hey there, this is Quintessential 2, and I'm back, and I haven't done a podcast or a broadcast on Spreaker in a long time. So I figured I'd go ahead and do one in regards to Real Housewives of Potomac. This last episode, I think it was episode 8, that aired on Sunday. I did do one on Anchor FM, so I know if you listen to podcasts via Anchor or Spotify or there's some other entities, you can also hear my comments on there as well. But I'm going to do one specifically here for YouTube. And here's the thing. On this last episode, we got a few things. We learned something, or actually we didn't really learn. We knew about the relationship between Michael and Ashley and the type of unconventional marriage that they have. According to Ashley, it's unconventional. And it is, and we've known that from day one. Ashley has danced around that subject. She hinted around their unconventional marriage. And now on this episode, because Michael, once again, has got caught up in some sexual scandal. He was with a stripper, and they went to the MGM and all of that, and they went back to the hotel, and some pictures got back out. And supposedly this stripper took a picture of him so she knew who he was and sent that to the blogs. Now, I'm just curious. I mean, I know that Michael is on a well-known show. I just didn't know that he would be so easily recognizable as far as like, oh yeah, get with him. He's on a reality TV show. I just didn't know he would be as recognizable enough where, given the crowd that he was hanging with, would know who he was and that he's on this television show. I just don't know. But anyway, that struck me as odd. But nonetheless, photos got out. Ashley is now confronting Michael. They're at a restaurant. They didn't want to talk at home in front of baby Dean because things might get heated. Michael admitted to going back to the hotel, kissing this girl in the limousine, but he didn't say that they had sex. He was like, oh, well, nothing happened. But yet she managed to take a picture of you conveniently with your back turned and you're in your underwear. But you say you were too drunk, fell asleep in the bed, and nothing happened. I know Ashley didn't buy that story at all. I don't know whether or not that story was so far-fetched to Ashley, or she just really didn't care. I don't know. Well, she cared enough that he continues to embarrass her. I think she does care about that. And Ashley mentions to him, she's like, look, we need to really get a handle on our agreement and our situations. Basically, I guess it seems like they're swingers. That's what I'm gathering, that they must be swingers. And they have rules of how they're going to engage in their activities. And the way Michael is acting, and his excuse is because it's Ashley's fault. Ashley hasn't been sexually attentive, and, he has his needs and all of that. All those terrible excuses. And Ashley is like, I don't know what else to say to you, but you're going to have to stop doing this. Or I don't know if she told Michael that she would threaten to leave him, because clearly she's not leaving him no time soon, since we have found out Ashley is pregnant again and due in February. So I don't see her trying to leave Michael anytime in the very near future. So so they really don't come to a resolve. Michael gets annoyed. He wants the cameras to stop. He talks to the producer. He was like, this is very personal. And, just give me another beer. And I don't want this on camera anymore. I've opened up way too much. You know what, Michael? I don't know. Like I said, you're acting as though you're so annoyed that you have to talk about this. You go out. You get yourself in these situations. You're always photographed, conveniently, always photographed, and pictures are available on the gossip sites. I just find that to be really interesting and convenient. Even when he was in London, he was on a gossip site. His pictures, with him allegedly, with him, and there was a man involved in this situation. So I don't know. Like I said, Michael, I don't know. It's very convenient. It's very interesting how you're so widely known now from being on this show. I don't know. So anyway, we go on. Another thing that we talked about, was Miss Wendy. Wendy and her husband and their youngest son, I think his name is Eddie, they're going to a karate class. And during this time, Wendy is talking about, she has, as often as she lets us know, many different degrees. And she's teaching at Johns Hopkins, and she's a commentator on MSNBC and CNN and all this kind of great stuff. Political commentator. And she's not really happy, and she's at like this, I don't know if she's at burnout or she's just at a point in her life where she's not doing what she really wants to do. And she's been getting this education and following the path that her parents have, told her that what she needs to do, and now she doesn't know what she wants to do in life. I guess she hasn't found her passion. She's been moving forward doing things because this is what she's been told to do, and now she's at a point where she doesn't have, she's trying to figure out what is it that really moves her. And her husband's like, well, take the time to figure it out. It's not like you have to work. It's not like you have to do these things. He is an attorney. He knows how to take care of the family. So she can take a step back and figure out what is it that you want to do. Another story was Monique and this whole podcast for Not So Lazy Moms, and it's not doing well. For the event, they got all these tickets that are not being sold, and a lot of money's been poured into this, $200,000. That's what Monique was telling Chris. And, the title in itself, Not for Lazy Moms, is very negative. It's not a positive title. I don't know. The implication is this, that moms, she's talking about a person who she doesn't know the circumstances. That's the way the title comes across. She's talking about that mom who you don't know what her issues are, that she's unable to do certain things. She's unable to be that super mom. Maybe she has to work and she gets home from work and she just doesn't have that energy to do all the things that, the next mom is able to do. So I don't know. It's just a very negative title. The podcast event is just not going the way, it's just not going well, not doing well. Chris was like, you know what? Don't keep sinking money in this sinking ship. Why are you bumping your head against the wall with this? And I guess this is something that is her own thing. She's not wanting to give up. She's got something that she can do on her own outside of taking care of the household, the kids, and Chris. So she's not ready to give up on this. So, she's not really ready for that. And the bigger thing is Candace has decided she does not, she was invited initially, and then Candace decides she doesn't want to be a part of the podcast, which, why would she? Based on the actions that happened up at the lake house, why would she want to be a part of that? That doesn't make any sense. And of course, Monique is calling her unprofessional. Let's go ahead and get to this wine tasting. Because, there was a scene with, Robin and her family talking about, getting married to Juan or whatever. Then Giselle getting all the gossip from what happened the last day that they were at the lake house. Let's get to the wine tasting. Giselle arranged a wine tasting. And the wine tasting was a way that she could also celebrate her literary award for her book that she wrote about her ex-husband and all his philandering. So she wrote this book and she got an award for it. All right. So this is what this is supposed to be about her. But when we get there, Ashley shows up and people are, the conversation comes up about Ashley and the photos, the text messages or whatever. And, Ashley tells the ladies what they already suspected, that her and Michael in somewhat of an open relationship. Well, not open. I think that, like I said, I think they're swingers. I don't think it's an open relationship. I just think they're swingers. And Karen was like, ooh, child, I'm glad I don't have to do that anymore. I looked over at Karen like, girl, what? But, so that was that conversation. And then Ashley was like, well, asking about how things are between Monique and Candace now because it's been a little frosty. Here's the problem. They both get into it. Okay, they've both been drinking. They both start arguing, nitpicking back and forth. And I'm not going to get into who necessarily started because I don't know about this edit. This edit made it seem like Monique started it. Nonetheless, hands were thrown. That we do know. Okay, hands were thrown. Monique was literally dragging Candace. So we know that did happen. I believe the issue that Monique is having with Candace, and she's not saying anything to Giselle about it, is the problem. Monique has got misdirected anger. And as a result, she's not saying what needs to be said, okay? She's still angry, and for good reason, about the whole situation about the trainer rumor and phone numbers being given to people that shouldn't be given to. And then Sharice, supposedly spreading information, Giselle spreading information, allegedly, this whole, plan to take down Monique, or I don't know. It was crazy. And this is what's actually bothering Monique, but she's not addressing it. And yet she's angry with Candace for inviting Sharice to the anniversary dinner. And Candace was like, for what? Candace was like, why? Monique went on this entire, she went on this whole press tour, if you will. She wanted to talk about what happened. And because of that, it's making her look even more ridiculous and even more out of order because she's not dealing with her problem. And her problem needs to be, first of all, why is she over there high-fiving Giselle? She needs to be talking to Giselle because based on the timeline and what Monique has said in her live on Instagram, Giselle wanted to bring this as a storyline. Okay, the whole rumor situation. Giselle wanted to put it out there about Monique having an affair and that last baby might not be Chris's. And Candace was saying, wait a minute, that baby looked just like Chris. That ain't gonna work. So if all this was going on, yet you angry at Candace and not giving no smoke to Giselle based on the Instagram live, it does not make any sense. You're not addressing the issue. When you were around Sharice, you ran about the room. Okay, you ran about the room. This issue is not being addressed, and I think that's the center point of Monique's problem. You're not bringing up the issue, and you're looking like you're moving funny. People looking at you funny. Okay. So they're looking at you as being the bully towards Candace because you really don't want to confront the situation. Everybody at that table, well, maybe not Wendy, but everybody else at that table knows what's going on. And maybe Wendy might know. Candace might have said something to Wendy, but nonetheless, they are aware of what's going on. And yet you sitting up here nitpicking and being passive aggressive towards one person when you need to be also delivering that smoke to Miss Giselle over there if what you're saying is true. So it's not making any sense. It's not making any sense. I guess, next week we're going to see the the conclusion of that whole fight scene and how the women are just going to be supposedly afraid to be around Monique. Now, I think that's a bunch of bull. Now, that part I think is bull. And that, to me, is going to look real suspect. I'm going to have to look to see who's going to be the one that start up that conversation because I have a feeling it might be Giselle because Giselle does not see it for Monique at all. We already know that. So this whole thing about being afraid to be around her is a bunch of bull. Okay, now that is a bunch of bull. But we'll see next week. Talk to y'all later.